It is another Light News Radio. Self-empowerment for the whole human being. The place where sick and tired is no longer of oneself. Featuring your host, Dr. Richard Jelisich, and co-host Deirdre Layton. Together, they finish each other's sentences, laugh, and take you from feeling hopeless to overjoyed to rock your world. And now, here are your hosts, Dr. J and Deirdre.
Welcome to Light News Radio Studios, where you will find realms of self-empowerment. Light News Radio brings you spiritually conscious, awakened people who are walking their spiritual talk. I am Dr. J, your host, and my amazing co-host is Deirdre Layton. We are coming to you live on iHeartRadio and Spreaker Radio. Together, we bring you grounded metaphysics, where the spiritual rubber hits the road. Real-life teachings and applications that are grounded and relevant to you. Here you will find the safety way, as my teacher would put it, a place where you can breathe fresh air of grounded spirituality while avoiding the hype and the fascination. We are all about helping you to empower your life through understanding your true spiritual nature. So come aboard our beam of light and enlighten your load as we travel the waves of knowledge and wisdom for the next hour. And as the wave of energy and consciousness is cresting, here comes Deirdre surfing in on that beam of light. How you doing, Deirdre?
That's a good one. I like that.
Is that like an oxymoron? Canadians and surfing, like two words that don't fit together? Or?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We have our full body wetsuits or our shorties, and we go off and go surfing. My goodness, there was guys surfing here on the Bow River in Calgary not that long ago.
Do they pick the nearest seal or walrus and just climb on the back and then go down the wave that way? Coming down the wave that way? Or?
Careful there, you know. We are the ones that are in control of whether or not there will be border wall building, you know.
Might be like a berm that you see in the parking lot, you know, a little 6-inch high thing like, oh yeah, you know, we got a wall. It's about 6 inches high, you know, so be careful you don't stub your toe on it when you cross, eh?
Oh, I'm sorry. I still, I get a kick out of watching the, what's going on with you guys down there over the border and all of the fun that, you know, media is having with it. And I know our show today is called, our theme is about love, but I tell you, I really feel the love out there between all of the media and your two candidates.
So you're saying you feel the love from Mr. Trump then?
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lovely fellow. Sorry.
Well,
is that my opinion? Sorry. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's an interesting thing because it's like when we look at it as Americans, we're thinking, is this the best that our Republican Party can do? Is this really what they want to see? And then I'm thinking, okay, Canada's across the border, but it's always been a really open border. You know, we've always just been like one big happy family, right? But the Canadians have a different system of law. They have different ways of electing and conducting government policies. You guys have different ways of interacting with each other. So I'm thinking, when you guys sit around the dinner table and you watch American politics, if you're not just scratching your head going, I'm sorry, what? Did I miss something?
Oh yeah, we get a good chuckle. We get this hour did 22. This hour is 22 minutes. Is a show that is run here in Canada, and it's a hoot. And they of course, you know, jumped on the bandwagon the other day and did a skit on what their impression is of you know, the whole thing you guys just had, the debates. And
the debates,
it was like, are you kidding me? Oh man, I laughed so hard.
They had a fella not unlike Jimmy Fallon in the U.S. on the U.S. show, and then Alec Baldwin, but
Yeah.
they also had a Canadian actor doing it recently. That's the one you just showed me. It was hilarious. It was a Canadian version of humor, but it was great.
Oh,
there were particular things that Canadians
with love.
There are particular things that Canadians feel are funny. Hey, that they pluck out of U.S. politics and they insert into the way they want to make a joke. It's just different and relevant. And I thought it was funny.
Yeah, it is. And it's Canadians are probably one of the free-spirited nations, because they make fun of themselves just as much as they make fun of everybody else. And so it really does get to be a lot of fun.
I think on the whole, the Canadian people are very wholesome, very open and loving. Now, today's topic, I wanted to talk about love, even though I know it's just a half-hour program. We don't have a lot of time. But I was thinking a lot about, what that means. And, of course, when we look around at our everyday life, we love our partners, we love our children, we love our pets. A lot of times we love our work, not all the time. But, of all the world's religions, they talk about love being the foundation of how we are all unified with each other. And then when you get into subjects like metaphysics, even scientifically, which they don't use the word love, they might use things like unified field theory, they say that there's a fabric, that holds everything together. But philosophically, poetically, or religiously, we say love is the essence of our being, and we are the threads, and that tapestry of love is what holds us all together. Or what I like to say, love is the foundation of who we are as spiritual beings. So when I was thinking about it this morning, I thought, if I bring up this subject, I know Deirdre's going to have a lot of really cool insights into what you see love is and how we can exemplify that, because Light News Radio is about spiritual awakening, right?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you chose to talk it, because I have a book study and I look at a lot of different books because I enjoy what people have to say out there and what opinions are and things like that. And I have a book study going right now, and the group is reading the Aquarian Gospel of Jesus the Christ by Levi, which is actually a book that was written by Levi, but came to him kind of like through a trance or through messenger. Like he just, he wrote this book. And one of the comments, or one of the chapters are in this book, it says, "Who in the boundless of love has made all men to equal be, the white, the black, the yellow, and the red, can look up in thy face and say, Our Father God." But I don't mean to go into a religious aspect with it, but I just want to point out that, love encompasses everything on the face of this earth. Whether you have a pet, whether you enjoy or love being in the garden and playing with the dirt and the vegetables and all of that, or whether you're waiting for the snow to come around and to embrace skiing and snowshoeing, and everybody has some type of experience with that word. And so, how do we best convey it? I think what you need to do is just to really go and look within yourself and what is it that excites you and turns you on and gets you up and moving and going. And I mean, I'm going to pick on Nesha, our producer, who just came back from holidays. And
our producer is in Belgrade, Serbia, by the way, everybody.
And you know what? I bet you he's going to kill me here, but I'm going to pick on him anyhow, because he had the opportunity to have some holidays with his family and go and drink beer and whatnot on the beach and whatnot. Yeah. And I tell you, coming home, I bet you he was kind of contemplating on that a little bit. Do I really want to go home because I like to be home, but boy, I sure love my holidays, right? Mm. So, everybody has their different what do you want to call it?
Their different perspective, their different way of looking at what love is, and I notice that a lot of times when we talk of spirituality and we use words like God or divinity or creator, people kind of get a little bit backed off, or they go really into it in a fundamental way, but there really doesn't always seem to be a middle ground. And I had just recently written something, and I'd like to just read it here, not to be just reading for the radio program, but I think it's relevant. It goes like this. God's love keeps the planets in their orbits, keeps the stars ablaze with light and radiance, and the galaxies whirling in their paths. God's love holds the earth in its magnificence, holds the breath of earth in all things earthly, and the breath that rises and falls in you. God's love holds atoms and cells together in your body and is the breath of life that you breathe. God's love is enduring, indelible, inexhaustible, unending, and unbounded. God is beyond gender, beyond personage, for God is in all things and is not just creation of all things, but is the essence behind all things created. God is the tree, the apple, the seed, and the emptiness in the center of the seed that created all of creation. You are made in God's image and therefore a personification of that love. You embody the essence of the all-enduring quality of what love is.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's really cool. I'm just like I am in awe that you wrote that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I send out a weekly thing for the Universal Church of the Master, where I've been president for going on a year now, and I've just decided to send out kind of like a weekly note. And so then I put a reference there, a biblical reference under that, 1 Corinthians chapter 13. But anyway, not to be religious, but to remind people that, love is the foundation of who we are and what we represent. But a lot of times we look at it like, well, yeah, I need to be loving. And we look at it in a kind of a goofy, offhanded, vague way, but really, what more powerful energy, if you just want to use the word energy, what more powerful energy is there than love? Look, Deirdre, you're a mom. What more powerful love is there than a mother's love?
Well, and what is one of the hardest things to do is to be able to love your children so much to let them have their own life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh, that is so true. And I'm sure everybody in every country, whether you're Chinese, Japanese, Russian, whatever, I think we all have a similar way of looking at things and similar challenges.
Yeah. It's so funny because, I've often had conversations with people, and they say, well, we're really, what is love? Like, and how do I receive it? And where does it come from? And I always think, take a look at who you are inside.
Yeah.
If you are being true to yourself, if you are being true to your beliefs and what it is that makes you this beautiful spiritual being that you are here in this bio bodysuit, mm-hmm. and you love yourself, or you give to yourself what you deserve and need to be here, when you're finished in filling your cup, you will have so much abundance left over that it will radiate out, and it cannot but affect everyone around you.
Right.
So, when you're in that place of just compassion, harmlessness, there's so many different words to explain it, but when you're at peace with who you are in love with yourself.
That's one of the most profound things that I think we could tell our listeners today, Dee, because, how many of us are trying to express love to others, but we really have a lot of work to do. how we, I want to say, embody that love for ourselves, or how much we love ourselves. Like, in other words, like one of the things I wrestle with is self-criticism. I am like my own worst critic. And how do I wrestle with, negative self-criticism, and yet at the same time, be that loving person that I accept myself, I love myself, what I do is good enough, all that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's a work. It's not the easiest thing to do.
No. Well, it's not the easiest thing to do because we're trained from a young age that we're not supposed to believe in that. We're supposed to believe in what everybody else tells us.
True.
Right?
True. And not to say, like, if somebody criticizes us, then to say, oh, well, it must be true because that person criticized me. And I think that, the ability for us to receive as much love as we give is a real ongoing work for all of us.
It is so much easier to give than it is to receive. Mm-hmm. It has been documented over and over and over again. And I think that the easiest way for someone to overcome that fear of receiving is to step back and just know that it's coming from someone who really feels it's important to give to you, whether it's a hug or a smile or a small gift or something, and just to say thank you, right? Just to be able to say thank you.
I think you just made a light go on in my head, because one of the points I had written about in our, we follow a kind of a script, is how do we best convey love? And maybe it's if we become completely content within ourselves that we are that love, then it's going to radiate from us no matter what we're talking about, no matter what we're doing, like fixing a car or making dinner. But that love is just going to beam from us once we have that kind of contentment that we are that love. And I don't mean philosophically. Okay. I mean real ground floor love.
I'm gonna throw this at you because I'm one of those people that is a real optimistic person, and actually I appreciate everything that people do and whatnot. But to convey love, and as you're saying, radiating out, which I had mentioned earlier, when you eat a pie or a roast beef dinner or a turkey dinner that someone has spent hours doing and has, really put their enjoyment of making that meal into the process. Yeah. And then they come out and they set the table. And they set the table with the intention of, I'm really thrilled that I'm having all these people come over and
Sounds
everything.
Good already.
You know what I'm thinking about is our Thanksgiving is coming up here this weekend, right, in Canada, in
Canada, it's the second Monday of October.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, I know that my daughter's cooking the dinner this year. Well, probably her partner, but I know that there's going to be so much love to be embraced, and you'll taste it in the meal. You'll feel it in the room. You just can't not.
I've always said, as far as that's concerned, food made with love is the best kind of food that there is, right? But it's like you say, that quality is imbued in everything we do. So one of the other points I had is, what tools can we embrace to be more loving? And I think it's just infusing that self-love in everything you do. It's like, one of my favorite saints is Yogananda, because he just hits the nail on the head so clearly. He says, we're made in that image of the divine presence, and therefore we are love, and that our work is to uncover and radiate all of that love. And that means, everything we would then do would be done in innocence. And another reason I picked the topic this morning is I was thinking about you, because you and I have been working together for about 6 years. And I've told our listeners before that when I describe you, I say, well, I think of Deirdre as a happy soul, came in happy, optimistic, outgoing, all of that. And that, you really do have that optimistic attitude that you had mentioned a couple minutes ago. And I think that for you as a person, you really do infuse that optimism and that forthrightness, that openness into everything you do. And I think that it's very infectious. People pick up on that. They feel it. They enjoy it. And I know there's the odd person that doesn't quite know what to do with it. I mean, I get it. That's just people. But I was thinking about, when I chose the topic this morning, about how you really do embody that, Dee, and you work so hard. Of course, there's a downside. Sometimes you do a little too much, but then, we all have we all have our thing that we do, right? So sometimes you get so involved because you care so deeply. But I just wanted our listeners to know that, when we pick a topic to talk about, we've thought about it and how it's relevant to today's world. I mean, if we go back to the beginning of our show and we talk about the politics of the United States.
Right.
And now we blend that with what we're talking about right now. How can you as a listener embody more of what someone like Deirdre represents? And I don't mean be her, but I mean, how can you be more kind and loving, living in a world where we have these contentious type of politics
situation,
and it doesn't seem to be that love is the foundation of those politics, even though maybe, there's a lot of sincere politicians out there that really do embody that. So I think it begins with each one of us, right, Dee?
I think so. It's interesting because when you look at it on such a larger scale like that, you have to do the baby steps, right? And it's like, in Canada, we had our election just recently, and we have a new prime minister and whatnot.
Trudeau.
And it's such a change from what we've had in the past. But it really emphasizes how when people can sit back and put their mind to what is important to them, to understand and really pay attention to what feels good. Because if something doesn't feel good, you know that it's not going to radiate good, right? So,
that's right.
Really take a look at that. And it's not, it's not contentious, or it's not, to be able to speak your own mind and your own truth in a way that is healthy is love.
Yeah.
So, freedom of speech in so many ways is empowering. And is love. It's not, as long as it's done with the right, not even with the right, as long as it's done with the intent of helping someone else, I guess is where I'm trying to go with
well,
that. Right?
and that's why I used you as an example, because you really do have that youthful innocence in your heart. And, when you find people that pass 30 years of age, a lot of times they get a little bit hardened by life. They don't always keep that youthful innocence. And I think that as we go through our lives, the different decades that we hope to live, right, that we still embody that cheerfulness, that love, that exuberance, that what I call effulgence, which means bursting forth with light. And we keep that love at our center. And it's really something we all can do, but I think it's something we have to remind ourselves. You got to avoid that negative self-criticism and do those things that you love and be that love.
Exactly. Yeah. I can't find my mute, and I was about to have a coughing fit, so you have to excuse me.
That's okay. You did the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, and letting go of the expectations of what it is letting go of expectations of receiving, letting go of expectations of giving, because a gift given is a gift given. If you are expecting something back, then it's not a gift, right? It's the same with love.
A gift given with expectations is no gift.
Exactly.
Exactly. And we do that sometimes too. Like we give things to people and we go, well, they didn't say thank you. Well, I mean, there is, of course, common courtesy. I mean, who among us doesn't like an accolade or to be recognized or acknowledged, right? But at the same time, your point is so well taken that, we give love without expectation. And that was one of the points I had written about is the sages and the masters talk about altruistic love, a love that is not personal. And even in the Bible, there's a phrase that says God is no respecter of persons. It just means that God that is God is not personal. And I don't mean that in a religious way. I'm not trying to shoo anybody off here. But, as we endeavor to reveal more of the truth of our own spiritual nature, we realize that love is the unification of all things, that it really is the foundation of everything that we are. And once you rest in the quality of that love, what can affect you?
Well, that's
Nothing.
just it.
Nothing.
And there's that web or that weave that will flow through every aspect of your life and every aspect of everyone else's life as well. So it's you're tied together, it's such a cool topic. We could probably go on for another 3 hours on this topic, but I think we should also let our listeners know that, we have this radio show twice a month here on Bold Radio Station through Speaker Radio.
Yeah, we should do contact information and all that too.
Yeah. So you can reach us at info@lightnews.org or 877-242-5721. And we have a really cool show coming up next week. We've got a young fellow I'm going to say young fellow, but his name is Scott Lauer, and we're going to talk about sonic space. He's a musician, and I think that it's going to be an amazing show. So listeners, don't forget when you tune in that you're welcome to call in on any of our shows as well. And our live number for that, of course, is 1-248-629-0921. And I don't know. I know we have to shamelessly self-promote, but I just keep.
Well, we got to give our website. We got to give our
www.lightnews.org.
Yeah. I mean, we got to let people know that we exist, and there is contact, and we would like to hear from you, listeners, and you could even suggest topics to us or have comments, and our website is lightnews.org. Deirdre and I sometimes get so involved in the subject matter that we do forget to promote like radio stations do. But, we are the real deal. We're coming up on 2.5 years of Light News Radio coming to you live across the internet. And we have no intention of slowing down.
No. And what's exciting is that our last was announced about 3 weeks ago that we are now on iHeartRadio. So that to me is amazing and really exciting. And I love doing the show. So I hope that listeners can call in and either, tell us what you want to hear or even critique what we've talked about.
Sure. Or what you want to hear more of.
Because that's how we grow. We want to hear
Deirdre laugh more. We want more Canadian jokes, eh?
But that's how we grow, we grow by people sharing their insights with us just as much as us sharing our insights with you. So you'll find Dr. Jelicic in San Diego right now. And he's flying back to Calgary
on Friday. Yep.
On Friday.
Here. Yep.
So
free healing tomorrow night, by the way, if you're listening live over in San Diego and Hillcrest at the Tar Healing Center. You were going to say, Dee?
I was just going to say, check out our website, www.lightnews.org events. And because we don't have time to go through it all.
Okay. Well, we love you guys. You guys that come and listen to the show, and of course that download later and listen to it later when you feel the time is right, you'll know. And so let love be the center, your foundation, and let faith be the lens through which you view life. And of course, as always, may the principles of harmlessness and compassion be the ever-present, ever-constant guide of your every intention, of your every thought, and of your every action. And so it is, and so it shall be. It is done. We love you, everybody. Stay attuned.
Thank you for joining Light News Radio, where you are self-empowered for your whole being. Connect with us at www.lightnews.org.